Good evening. Happy holidays and welcome to the December 3rd, 2024 City Council meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Let's get started with our invocation, which will be led by our City Attorney, Tom Trask, followed by the Pledge Allegiance to our flag. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come humbly to you today asking for your guidance, your wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of this community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that might affect the residents of the city of Oldsmar, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today and all that we accomplish is for the betterment of our city. In this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. We're going to get started with our Oldsmar open forum. If you would like a member of the city staff to follow up on a comment or a question made at the meeting, please fill out one of the comment cards at the back of the table with your contact information and give it to the city clerk. Each speaker will be recognized once and will be limited to a 5-minute comments on any subject that is not scheduled for a public hearing. The open forum will conclude at 7:30 p.m. If you have filled out a speaker card, please hand it to the city clerk. Filling out a speaker card is not mandatory, and you will still be given an opportunity to speak. When speaking, please state your name and your address for the record, and we're going to get started with Rhonda Coy. Come on up.
Good evening, Council. Rhonda Coy, 317 Country Club Drive, displaced to 501 Buckingham. I just have a comment I'd like to make to whoever it was involved. And that was for the shop and share that was at the park on Sunday. It was absolutely wonderful. I think this is something that we should put on our agendas for every year. I think Kristen, of course, was there. She is at all events, handing out cookies and following her kids around as they picked up goodies to take home. And it was nice to see Katie and Dan there. And Valerie, you were there for a long time, but it was really great. And we did pick up some things because we have lost quite a bit, but the church gave out, they had the coffee and the cocoa bar, and we had fun with the kids for crafts, and we had cookies and dog treats and everything, and it was just marvelous, and I want to thank everybody that was involved. So kudos to you. And the second thing I would like to bring up too is I want to thank Tatiana. Yes, you. Even though some of the answers she has given me are not answers I particularly care to hear about, she has always been so positive and helpful whenever I've brought anything in, and constant contact. I have to say that her office has done a wonderful job to help me out. I don't know what it's going to end up being, but I'll never take back what a great support she has been. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Next, we have Deanna Shepherd. Come on up.
I just found out that this meeting was being held, and I just drove here from holiday, so I am not prepared. I would have preferred to read something to you. I have terrible stage fright. Deanna Shepherd. I did live at 400 Country Club Drive. The crying is the stage fright, sorry. And we did lose our home. It's uninhabitable. I called your office today and spoke to Jordan, and she was kind enough to tell me about this meeting tonight. I have spoken to everyone, the city, the county, the insurance, FEMA. I'm trying to understand the 49% rule and how it relates to our property specifically, and also to help my neighbors. 2 years ago, when we purchased the property, we put a new roof on, not related to insurance, not related to damage. It needed a new roof when we purchased the property, and we paid for that out of pocket. The roof cost $16,000. My understanding from working with Tatiana and working with Mandy is that that roof will now penalize me $30,000 from the allowable amount to stay below, to keep our home. We'll lose our home if we have to lift. All of our equity, all of our money is tied up in the home. I don't understand when the city, when the government, Florida, encourages people to move here, and I won't get into the story, but our moving here was a matter of life and death. It was the only home where they accepted our bid, and we had to jump, or I don't know what we were gonna do. We purchased the home, we knew the flood insurance was high, we knew it was a flood zone, we were willing to pay the extra money in order to have the home, and we knew that we would be insured properly. What no one ever informs you is what's happening to the residents now. Residents just like my family and many other families, never informed by anyone, never warned by anyone that we could lose our homes, that we would be forced to do something that we can never afford to do. And I don't understand how the city encourages you, the government encourages you, the homeowners insurance encourages you, the real estate agents encourage you, improve your property, strengthen your structure, put on the new roof, it'll be more valuable, insulate your home, it'll help lower costs. They don't tell you they're gonna turn around and use that against you to take your home away from you, which is precisely what this is doing. By going back just the 2 years that I've owned the house, 2.5 years, I installed the roof December of 2022, and they're using a value from my home. They shouldn't be using the assessed value of the home. If you're going to compare an apple to an apple, they should be using the same, what's it called? Hold on 1 second.
Appraised value.
They should be using the same that they use in the FEMA 49% rule. The just value, adjusted to approximate market value, multiplying it by, 85%? They should be using that higher amount and not just the assessed value at the time. And the assessed value at the time, I'm told, is from 2021 values. My roof wasn't installed until December 2022. So that's off by an entire year. And a $16,000 roof will cost me a penalty of $30,000. You could very well be knocking me over the 49%. It's not logical. Everyone I speak to that works for all of you, the appraiser's office, the building office, the city office, the county office, the insurance, and FEMA themselves, they say it's heartbreaking, it's not fair, but it's the way they calculated the numbers. And I say, who are they? And I've been directed here tonight that you are they. This will destroy our family. All of our money's in the house. I have a daughter to put through college. It's hard enough. I'm paying for 2 properties. I'm paying 2 mortgages, not mortgage, 1 rent and 1 mortgage, insurance on both, property taxes on both, utilities on both, waiting for people to get me the information I need to move on, and I have nothing. I haven't even been given the information I need to rebuild or not rebuild.
Very sorry, Deanna.
And thank you for everything you've done for me in the past. I know we've spoken before about other issues.
I'm very sorry.
I just hope you all can figure out a way to fix this for the residents, preferably including my family, not next year's people.
Mark Duncan?
Dan, did she fill out a card with contact info? She filled it with contact. Okay.
Good evening, council. My name is Mark Duncan of 317 Country Club. I've also been displaced by Helene, who's knocked this community to its knees. I also serve as pastor at Community Church 207 Buckingham Ave East. I'm here this evening to speak on behalf of Steve and Julie of the Breakfast Express food truck, hopefully to be located at 300 St. Pete Drive West. But prior to saying that, I also have to just kind of reiterate what she said. I'm in the same boat, me and my family. We moved to the community into my mother-in-law's house, and we added on to it to where it would be big enough for my family and my mother-in-law to be there. And being that we've tried to improve our home, which improves the community, we are also looking to be penalized to where potentially we will have to leave the community, because if we have to raise, it's just not feasible. It's not feasible for most of the people of that block. And by the stalling, whoever it's coming from, they're going to push us out of our homes. We need this to move forward promptly. And I agree completely with what she says. But moving forward, Steve and Julie have been serving outreach of our community with the church for years. And that didn't change when Helene came through and knocked this community to its knees. As the church mobilized disaster relief efforts, they were at the forefront. Within 48 hours of the disaster, they moved the truck from their Tampa location and had it at the church serving free meals to anyone who needed them. At a time when our community was reeling and had plenty to worry about, the Breakfast Express made sure that our needs were met at no cost to us. Julie took off 3 weeks of vacation from her job and lost out on paychecks to be there, and they were open breakfast, lunch, and dinner serving. They were going out and purchasing different kinds of meals than what they normally served so that our community would have variety during this time. They were here for over 6 weeks, serving us all for free, not collecting any paycheck and anything during that time. Although they were still paying rent, they lost their lease agreement for their Tampa location where they were at while they were here serving us, while they came to try and help us. And at the time, it seemed like a blessing in disguise. They could stay in Oldsmar but find a permanent spot with electricity, water, better parking, and access, all the while still continuing to serve free or reduced meals to anyone that needed them. It was mentioned that so many people affected residents are using the laundromat, so that the Soap Opera Laundry Plaza was the best location for them to continue serving the needs of our community. Because they would also be opening for regular business, they also wanted to be sure to come to the city and meet all requirements here, which is when we all discovered that there was an issue with the food truck being here. I'm here to make a plea for these friends of the community of Oldsmar. We are a small community, and that's great because it means we can make exceptions. Oldsmar is very good for business, especially small business owners. Steve and Julie will be nothing but an asset if you allow them to operate their business here. I'm asking you to open your hearts as they did for us and allow them to stay in our community and operate as a business here. Thank you for your consideration, and God bless.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that had wanted to fill out a card, or anybody else that would like to speak to the council? Please come up now. Okay, with that, I'm going to close the Oldsmar open forum. Next item on our agenda is the community minute, and that will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. For resources and recovery assistance and information pertaining to community efforts, the city has created a specific site that includes these tools and more. Visit oldsmarstrong.com for details. And the Oldsmar Historical Museum is open now, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 12 to 4 p.m., or you can email libraryinfo@oldsmarfl.gov to schedule an appointment. And the Santa Claus mailbox is in front of City Hall. So if there are any children that would like to write Santa, you can do so now until December 15th and mail your letter straight to Santa Claus. And that is all we have.
Thank you. Great job, as always. Next item on our agenda is approval of additional new agenda items. We have 1, 3, and 10. I'm looking for a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second in the discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is awards and recognition. And Valerie is going to be, oh no, I'm sorry. The city clerk is going to take care of it. Kristen Garcia.
Yes, thank you. I will take care of that at the podium.
Thank you. I got ahead of myself.
On the podium. Stand on the podium. Speak for a moment.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm City Clerk Kristen Garcia. And so thank you for joining us in celebrating the graduation of the 2024 Janice Miller Citizens Academy class this evening. So first and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all of our graduates. You have successfully completed this program, which has provided you with valuable insight into the inner workings of our city of Oldsmar. On the screen, you will see a slideshow showcasing photos from some of the classes that you've attended. Over the course of this academy, you've had the opportunity to visit and hear from several departments throughout the city, including the Oldsmar Fire Rescue, the Oldsmar Public Library, the Administrative Services Department, which includes finance and IT. You've also gained insight into the Public Works Department, the Parks and Recreation Department, and the Planning and Redevelopment Department. And you've also had presentations from Human Resources, the charter officials, including myself, City Attorney Tom Trask, City Manager Felicia Donnelly, and the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, which you can see right here. So we had a canine demonstration. That was really neat. And we also got to hear from forensics that evening. And so again, congratulations to each of you for your dedication, enthusiasm, commitment. You know, we had 2 hurricanes during this class, and we still have a graduating class. So I thank all of you for attending this year. And so you are now officially alumni of the Academy. And so at this time, I would like to call each of you forward to receive your certificate. So I'll have the mayor come down with the certificates. So please come up to the dais as I call your name. And then afterward, we'll gather for a group photo with the city council. And then so please remain at the front until we have everyone, and then we'll take our photo. And then please see Jenny on your way out, because we have a small gift for everyone just as a token of our appreciation. So I will begin. So the city clerk's office is proud to present the graduates of the 2024 Janice Miller Citizens Academy. So that will be Annette Caldwell,
Congratulations.
Stephen Caldwell, and I see name tags tonight. Good job, guys. Beth Crippen, Bill Dion, Candace Henson, John Henson, Kathleen Jackson Hill, Bruce Koss. Do we have Bruce here? Jillan Koss, Dennis Kelsey,
Congratulations.
and Gail Kelsey. Lori Ludick, Tom O'Shea, Lee Ramsey, Louis Schmitz, Selenid Thomas, and Elise Winters. Congratulations once again to all of you. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Are we going back here? Are we up here?
I thought they said, if you were following me, then you're up there. That doesn't make any sense.
I feel like we should be up here because we're gonna have to squish down there.
All right, I thought we were doing like soccer picture. Sorry.
Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you. Get right back.
I thought you went like this. Yeah, that's
Thank
why.
you
That's
all.
why I
Please
was
see
like,
Jenny on your way
doing what
out.
I'm told.
Thank you, Kristen Garcia. Great job and congratulations to the class. I remember when I took that many years ago. I'm not going to give you the date. All right, now we have Business of the Quarter Award presentation, and that will be Councilmember Valerie Tarazeski.
Nice.
Hang on, technical
Training
difficulties.
from the Vice Mayor got it done.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can turn it on.
Hello?
No, I'm fine. I love their coffee.
Ew. All right. Good evening. Good evening. It is my absolute honor to present the Business of the Quarter Award to a remarkable local business, Casbah Cafe and Lounge. This business represents not only the entrepreneurial spirit of Oldsmar, but also the heart and soul of our community. Casbah Cafe and Lounge has been a dream in the making for 17 years. The shared vision of Sunny El Abrahami and Yassine Nachti. In June of 2023, their dream finally became a reality when they opened Casbah Cafe in the heart of downtown Oldsmar. Though they have only been open for just 1 year, their impact has already been profound, not just on our local economy, but on the lives of everyone who walks through their doors. Casbah is truly unique. It's an international cafe with a Moroccan-inspired atmosphere that offers so much more than a cup of coffee. From the carefully selected Italian coffees to the delicate French pastries, the creative seasonal drinks, and the Moroccan-inspired entrees, Casbah is a celebration of global flavors. Every dish and drink tells a story of cultures coming together in a space that feels like home. But what truly sets Casbah apart isn't just the amazing food, it's the spirit behind it. Sunny and Yassine set out to create a welcoming space where the community could thrive. And in just 1 year, they've done exactly that. Casbah has become more than a cafe. It's a gathering space, a cultural hub, and a space for creativity and connection. They've hosted a variety of events that have brought people together and helped our community celebrate its diversity, including henna pop-up events, my favorite, Latin nights with live music, a belly dance showcase, a Rock the Casbah fashion show, and monthly mandala painting classes. Casbah is constantly offering new opportunities for us to learn, engage, and appreciate different cultures. These events have turned Casbah into a destination not just for Oldsmar residents, but for people all over the region who come to experience the vibrant energy of the space. In addition to enriching our local culture, Casbah has also made significant contributions through their charitable giving. Sunny and her husband believe that giving back to the community, they believe in giving back to the community that has supported them. Over the past year, they have consistently helped those in need, supporting local charities and people facing hardship. Their commitment to uplifting others is a testament to their generosity and their belief in the power of community. Recently, Casbah Cafe was even featured
on an episode of First Time Buyers Club, which is streaming on Oprah Network and HBO, showcasing the beauty and diversity of our city. I went and found it. Sunny and Yassine have not only built a business, they've created a place where community can flourish, where people can come together, and where cultures are celebrated. Their contributions go beyond the cafe. They've made Oldsmar a more richer and more vibrant place for us all. Please join me in congratulating Sunny, Yassine, and the entire Casbah Cafe Lounge team for receiving the Business of the Quarter Award for the fourth quarter of 2024. Thank you for all you do for our community.
Cindy, do you mind if we do a group picture with everybody? Yeah. Could you guys get right in front here? And then council come over here, please? No, you stay right there. You're in charge.
Oh. You ready?
Congratulations. Good job. So that was Valerie's first award, and I gotta say, you did a great job. All right, next item on our agenda is the consent docket, and this will be read by our city clerk, Kristen Garcia.
She's tonight, isn't she?
Item 3, consider approval of minutes of November 14th, 2024 council work session. Item 4, consider approval of minutes of November 19th, 2024 council meeting. Item 5, consider approval to award the purchase of 2025 Ford F-350 Super Cab pickup truck, 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500 double cab truck, and a Ford F-350 regular cab truck per the pricing, terms, and conditions of Sourcewell contract number 2025-091521-NAF and 032824-NAF.
All right, thank you. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent docket? All right, with that, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion, I have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is our city attorney, Tom Trask.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 6 is a public hearing for the amended development agreement with Devin S. Rushnell LLC for the city-owned property located adjacent to the public library. As background for this, I want to go ahead and read the packet information. The city owns approximately 9.446 acres of property, which includes the city library and other parcels between St. Petersburg Drive, State Street, and East Arlington Avenue located in the CRA. On October 6, 2020, the City Council authorized the city manager to enter into discussions with Devin S. Rushnell LLC for the purpose of negotiating a development agreement for this city-owned property with the intent of selling 6.2 acres of the parcel for the purpose of developing the site with a mixed-use development containing 82 residential homes, 18 of which will have a live-work component. The city's Land Development Code, Section 14.7, outlines the process for the negotiation and execution of development agreements. And on July 19, 2022, City Council approved the initial development agreement with Devin S. Rushnell, LLC. In December of 2022, an amended site plan was reviewed by the City Council. Open houses were held, and on January 2023, after those open houses were held, the proposed amendments were reviewed by the Planning Board and subsequently approved by the City Council in April of 2023. Since then, Devin Rushnell has completed the preliminary engineering and submitted infrastructure permits. And in January 2024, City Council approved the assignment and assumption of contracts from Mr. Rushnell's company to Lennar Homes. The city also approved an accompanying amendment to the real estate purchase and sale agreement, but this assignment was ultimately not executed. Through the assignment process, however, it was recognized that some amended or revised terms in the development agreement are necessary at this time. Those site revisions were determined to constitute material changes and therefore require the developer to comply with Section 14.7 Land Development Code, triggering the initial DA approval steps in a revised development agreement. The revisions in this development agreement amendment are as follows. Number one, the city manager will have the authority to extend the development agreement for a period of up to 180 days administratively. Number two, a new Schedule H is provided to clarify a more defined schedule of the construction of the project. Number three, a new site plan is presented clarifying a pavilion instead of a building and to provide building number identification. Number four, the homeowners association documents for the property will provide for the demolition of any partially completed building or structure upon 30 days' notice to the builder if any building has not had an inspection for 6 months. Mr. Rushnell's company will post a $50,000 cash bond on behalf of the HOA at closing to cover the cost of the demolition. Number five, due to the critical importance of the project schedule and its completion, the developer shall commence annual payments of $2,430 per unit for which a certificate of occupancy has not been issued, beginning 90 months from the execution date of the development agreement.
Give me time, is it 60 months?
I'm sorry, did I?
You said 90.
60 days
60
from
months.
the execution of the development agreement.
60 months?
Did I
Forgive
get
me.
it right?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that's accurate. It's not,
It's 60 months.
Okay. Thank you.
From the execution date of development agreement, subject to state and federal executive order extensions. This obligation will continue each year until all 82 units are completed. On each anniversary of the DA's execution date, the remaining number of units without a CO will be determined and the corresponding payment in the amount will be calculated and rendered accordingly. Number six includes specific provisions that refer to the requirements of Pinellas County surety performance bond and maintenance bond requirements as specified in the Pinellas County Code. It also removes existing paragraph 9C of the current DA, and all other provisions will remain as previously adopted. As this is a city-owned property in the CRA, the city hosted 3 public open houses and an online survey to present the revised essential terms of the development agreement. The majority of the public agreed that the proposal should move forward with the amended site plan, revised essential terms, and related development agreement. The City Council passed this on its first reading or public hearing at the November 19, 2024 council meeting with a 5-0 vote. The recommended motion tonight would be to adopt the amended development agreement with Devin S. Rushnell LLC for the city-owned property located adjacent to the public library. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. It does require a public hearing.
This is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against this item? With that, I will close the public hearing. I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
Motion to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor, roll call.
Vice Mayor Graber,
Yes.
Councilmember Tatarzeski,
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon,
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp,
Yes.
Mayor Shraki.
Yes.
On a vote of 5 to 4, the second reading.
5-0?
Thank you. On a vote of 5 to 0,
It's
the
the charter.
Take it from the top? You had to read like 9,000 things tonight, you guys. Give her a break. Real choppy.
on a vote of 5 to 0.
Where have the other 4 members been? That's all I'm just wondering.
Close one.
Thank you very much. That's all I have tonight.
Tom, you got away easy. Good. Santa must be coming or something.
On the agenda.
All right, next item on our agenda is item 7, consider approval of the legislative appropriations request for fiscal year 2025 through 2026, and our city manager, Felicia Donnelly, will introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. The item seeks City Council consideration of 2 legislative appropriation requests that will be submitted to Shoemaker Advisors LLC. In accordance with their agreement approved by the City Council on September 17, 2024, Shoemaker Advisors Florida LLC will provide consulting and government relations services to Oldsmar before the Florida executive and legislative branches and other entities on issues related to Oldsmar infrastructure and other funding needs as directed by the city manager. These two projects have been discussed with Shoemaker representatives and are appropriate for legislative request. The first one is Oldsmar Water Reclamation Facility Resiliency and Capacity Improvements. The project will increase the capacity and resiliency of the Oldsmar Reclamation Facility from 2.25 million gallons per day to 2.99 million gallons per day, strengthening its ability to meet current and future wastewater treatment needs. The expansion is going to significantly improve the facility's resilience during wet weather events, minimize the risk of regulatory noncompliance, and align operations with Senate Bill 64 mandates to reduce surface water discharges. Key components of the project include completing an unused filter bay, expanding the re-aeration tank, adding a reclaimed water storage tank, and incorporating a redundant screw press. The project cost is estimated to be $5.16 million. The city match would be $3 million, and the legislative request would be $2.16 million. The second project for consideration is a lighting replacement project at the Oldsmar Sports Complex and Sheffield Park. This is a crucial lighting replacement project to upgrade outdated lighting systems at the sports complex and Sheffield Park. Installed over 20 years ago, the current lights at both facilities are way out of warranty and have become costly to maintain due to frequent ballast and bulb failures. Upgrading to advanced LED lighting will improve lighting consistency, reduce energy consumption, and minimize ongoing maintenance, enhancing the utility and sustainability of the vital spaces. The project cost is estimated to be $1.5 million. The city match would be $300,000, and the request would be $1.2 million. This agenda item requests and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. And I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion from anybody?
Hopefully with Senator Hooper at the head of Senate Appropriations, we might have a chance.
Also, playing hockey there at night, it definitely needs lights. The lights in the parking lot, it definitely needs to be improved. So let's hope Ed Hooper comes through, Senator Hooper. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8.
Item number 8 is to consider approval of Moccasin Creek Bank Restoration Grant Agreement with the Tampa Bay Estuary Program. The City of Oldsmar has been awarded a $150,000 grant from Tampa Bay Estuary Program to complete the plan, design, and permitting of water quality and drainage improvements to Moccasin Creek, which is a tributary of Old Tampa Bay. The project will consider various green infrastructure techniques, including natural or two-stage channel design, filter media, and native plantings to reduce sedimentation and nutrient loading to within a creek section in the vicinity of Pepper Tree Drive and Oakleaf Boulevard. City staff will also develop education materials about the importance of reducing stormwater pollution for the health of the bay. The city will acquire a consultant to administer these services. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion. Motion, second?
Second.
All right, motion is second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 10.
Item 9.
Item number 9.
Yeah.
Consider approval and authorize city manager to execute the agreement with ISI Water Company to perform utility system consulting services for the city based on the pricing, terms, and conditions of the Polk County Contract 2024-073, RFP 24-262, Piggyback 25-011. The proposed agreement is based on a Polk County Contract 2024-073, under which the county requested assistance in investigating unbilled and misbilled utility services for its utility systems. ISI Water Company, WCA, a provider of revenue recovery services to public agencies since 1989, specializes in evaluating utility billing systems to recover lost revenue. In collaboration with city staff, WCA will perform field investigations and database analysis to review water, sewer, and stormwater system charges to confirm customers are being billed in a fair, accurate, and equitable manner. The consultant will provide actionable work orders for the city's review. The city will have the option to accept or reject each work order. If no action is taken, no costs are incurred. However, if a work order decision leads to increased revenue, the city will compensate the consultant with 60% of the incremental revenue increase over a 36-month period, as specified in the Polk County contract. The agreement also includes an option for a one-time negotiated payment if requested by the city. Any fees due to WCA will be paid from the appropriate fund and included in the annual budget request. The city previously engaged WCA in 2016 for a revenue enhancement project, which resulted in significant increase in commercial stormwater revenue. About $100,000, $120,000 a year is what was recovered from that previous study. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Now item 10.
Item number 10, consider approval of the rental of an emergency generator for backup power at the WRF to Sunbelt Rentals under the same terms and conditions as Omnia Contract R200601 CC 23-035. The WRF has 2 backup generators. These generators are critical for continuity of operations in the event of power outages at the water reclamation facility. One of the units has been in operation for over 20 years. Due to its age, the older unit recently experienced failures leading up to the recent hurricanes, necessitating multiple repairs by technicians and the rental of a backup generator to ensure continuous operations. The generator rental began September 13, 2024. The repairs required for the existing generator are more extensive than originally expected. Therefore, the rental cost will soon exceed the $25,000 threshold for City Council approval. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion for approval. Motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item?
Do we have another generator budgeted already to replace the one that failed? I can't remember if there was one in, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I was just curious. Daniel's, if you walk all the way up here and then say yes, I'm gonna.
Oh, he's gonna get you.
Daniel Simpson, Director of Public Works. I don't recall having that in the budget. We are working on a permanent solution, though.
Right.
We thought we could fix it, but we're looking at
Yeah.
replacing it. So we're anticipating a budget revision to handle that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I gotcha.
So
So maybe we'll see that on the list come January, if it's not
Yes.
already in there.
I was talking to Felicia. How long does it take to get permits for something like that?
permits?
Yeah.
I don't think the permitting should be an extensive
Okay.
part of the process.
Okay, good. All right. All right, I have a motion. I have a second. Any other questions while we have staff here? No? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 11.
Item number 11 is the memorandum on current regulations regarding food trucks is attached for council discussion. Tatiana Childress, Director of Planning and Redevelopment, has prepared a short presentation at council's request.
Good evening, Tatiana Childress, City of Oldsmar Planning and Redevelopment Director. So as Felicia mentioned, this is just a very brief presentation. The purpose of the presentation is to summarize the current regulations in the Land Development Code regarding the food truck regulations within the City of Oldsmar, and also to outline the state preemptions. Per City of Oldsmar LDC, food trucks are permitted as ancillary uses within the microbreweries and brew pubs in specific zoning districts, and also at special events. So Florida State Legislature now preempts certain food truck regulations which were previously managed through the temporary use permits in Oldsmar. So what does it mean? So food trucks are permitted as ancillary uses within microbreweries and brew pubs and microbreweries are currently allowed in the following zoning districts. They're allowed in commercial general, C2, commercial wholesale and warehousing, C3 district, and the limited manufacturing district, the M1, the town center commercial neighborhood district, TCCN, and the town center commercial residential zoning district. Currently, there are no microbreweries or brew pubs operating within the city limits, and the microbreweries and the brew pubs are defined under the Land Development Code, Article 11, Section 2.1. Here we have the City of Oldsmar zoning map, and you can see all of those districts. Regarding the operation at special events, so food trucks may operate at special events currently in Oldsmar as part of the special event application, and the special event application requires city manager's approval. Florida statute section 509.102 limits municipal authority over food truck regulation, preempting licensing inspections to the state level. The city retains zoning authority, and currently, as I mentioned, the food trucks are allowed in our C2, M1, C3, TCCN, and TCCR as part of the microbreweries and brew pubs. If the city council desires to revise the existing regulations for mobile vending, the National League of Cities recommend the following: hold town hall forums and private meetings within the core stakeholders, encourage dialogue and the building of relationship among competing stakeholders, implement pilot programs to determine what zoning regulations to adopt, use targeted practices to address underserved areas of the city, and identify private vacant lots to create partnership for mobile vendors to gather and vend in the same location. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any questions, and this summarizes the memo.
Do we have any questions for staff? Councilmember Gannon, go ahead.
Thank you. Tatiana, this is a sort of logistical question. To go about the process of investigating and or changing existing regulations for food trucks, this would fall under planning and redevelopment.
Correct.
And right now, you and Mandy are also administering the substantial damage, the floodplain review, everything that falls under.
This is true. We have limited resources right now. It's
That's
all of
essentially my
our
question.
resources. Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of, or, you know, perhaps this is something that we could discuss, of consultants that work with cities to examine this process?
Sure, we can hire consultants. So that's a typical service, I guess, or something that a planning firm would investigate. So if we want to, especially if we follow the recommendations and if we would like to have stakeholder meetings, so those are typically, it would be appropriate for a planning firm to conduct those and to investigate at a greater level, to look at all of the potential impacts that may, you know, the positives and negatives, and also to bring all of those kind of like to the table.
You had the big map up.
The zoning map?
Yeah. In the CRA, the portion that's kind of like that dark green and pink along St. Pete Drive there's TCCR, you mentioned TCCR, TCCN. There's not M1, C2, and C3 in the CRA, but obviously it has been brought to our attention that there's a potential food truck that is interested in operating in this area. But it's my understanding that the corner where Bayview and St. Pete Drive meet, although it's teeny tiny on here, is not TCCN or TCCR. I think it's
a TCB, Town Center Boulevard.
It's Town Center Boulevard.
Outlined here, if you can see, it's kind of like in the lighter.
Okay. So
lighter gray.
And the reason I ask that is because investigating this would then mean
expanding it potentially to different zoning districts. That would be one option, or amending the regulations of that particular zoning district, open it up to some kind of like a temporary operational permit within. So any of these options, they would require a land use amendment, because currently, again, the land use amendment section is a little bit outdated. So we used to be able to regulate them by permitting.
Right,
but then
but
state
now-
preempted that permitting, so right now that option we can't issue under the permitting for
Right, 'cause
like a
the state-
temporary use. So it requires a fee by current section. So that section of the land development code is slightly outdated. That will need to be changed, amended, and that will be a greater discussion, like in which zoning districts they would be appropriate. I did include in the back, so there is, and I believe Felicia distributed this as well.
Yeah.
There's a planning, just a quick note, 49, so outlining some of the concerns and some of the policy considerations. So some of the concerns might be preventing of the mobile vending becoming a public nuisance, and these will often include things like access to restrooms, waste and recycling, and placement of tables and chairs, and also accessible routes to these. So they're kind of like operating like a brick and mortar restaurants, but they're not. So parking, access, those issues will
So-
need to be addressed and discussed to some level.
So this was kind of put on the agenda for a potentially specific applicant, but this is complicated by zoning plus land use plus state statute and the preemption of the permitting process as well.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so that makes my consultant question a good question. Okay, I think that's all I have right now.
Thank you.
Councilmember Knapp?
Sure, just one, and if you don't know the answer right now, that's okay. I know there's interested parties here. In a best-case scenario, we have a productive discussion tonight and that we want to move forward with the exploration and hopefully the adoption or changes that would allow for the use of food trucks. What kind of time frame are we looking at in terms of being able to get through those steps that are detailed?
So we're talking about staff level review, staff initiated review. If you give us the direction to investigate something like this, it will be a TRC level review, 1 month, and then it will be placed for the planning board consideration as a text amendment. Then it will be in the first public hearing and the second public hearing. If we were to bring a consultant, there will be a few, they will have to study the subject, and they will have the stakeholder meetings and hopefully like a town center meeting of some sort. So then it will be extended beyond the 3-month marker. So.
Okay. You want to add it?
And I do want to add something to that, right? Because it's also, we have a CRA plan that it has to be grounded in. And so we would have to also, when we're procuring a consultant, we have to go through the procurement process. We're not sure, we haven't contacted consultants, so we don't even know what their availability is because most people are concentrated on floodplain issues right now, although I'm sure there's planning consultants. Trying to get that budgeted, going through the procurement process also takes time.
I forgot about that part of the CRA. Okay. Thank you for that additional detail.
Anything else, Councilmember Knapp?
No, that was it for the moment.
Vice Mayor?
I have points for discussion, but no questions for Tatiana.
Okay,
I don't think I have questions. I have
okay.
maybe comments later.
I don't have any questions either, so thank you so much for that presentation.
Thank you, Tatiana.
Thank you.
We appreciate your work on doing that for us. All right, let's open it up for discussion. Anybody want to jump in? Councilmember Gannon, do you want to?
And Councilmember Gannon, I'm piggybacking off of what you said, so if you'd like me to articulate.
Yeah,
that.
I'll go ahead and pass the baton so I'm not repetitive. I mean, I asked a lot of very specific questions because, it was interesting that two wonderful, people from our community, this potential applicant and people who know this potential applicant, and, all this is coming together because of the aid, that was provided in this interesting dynamic that developed after the hurricanes. And it's beautiful and it's tragic. Because then, we have this intersection of humanity and government, and it's, like I said, tragic. But we also have to remember that our primary concern with our personnel, to me, I asked about the consultant because our primary concern right now for the greater number of people affected in terms of, dedicating resources of Tatiana and Mandy, it's got to be toward these substantial damage assessments. I get nervous about diverting their attention from that to investigate this. While it would be, wonderful, that was why I brought up the consultant. I just wanted to talk about that. And then the different layers of regulations. I even forgot about the CRA procurement process, but in any event, go ahead, Steve.
And I think we're just beginning this conversation, and just first and foremost, to everyone, I want food trucks in Oldsmar. I want them, okay? Want them so much.
Who doesn't?
Just,
It's
please
fun.
just hear me out, because after reading what I read today, I'm afraid to open a lemonade stand for my kids. I mean, there's so many things to do
Yeah.
that I want to just say, yeah, we're good, just put them over there, that's fine. We can carve out a section. Not allowed to. And it starts with the state preemption, which makes it, I don't want to say much more difficult, but it puts it in the state's hands, takes it out of Oldsmar hands, puts it in the state's hands. But if you read the National League of Cities information that we were provided as part of this, and they break it down for everyone, I think it was 38 pages, 39 pages of stuff, where you think you can just open one up and everything's good as long as I've got my inspections done and I've got this, and I've got a place for people to sit, and I've got a lease, I'm good to go. But there's economic activity, there's regulatory concerns, there's cost of permitting concerns, public space versus private space concerns. There's time constraints. How long can you park somewhere? I've read one city allows for 45 minutes. So you park there for 45 minutes, you got to drive somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it helps the city regulate, because they're like, well, you got to tell me every 45 minutes where you're going to be. So they can go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, lunch rush is over. Other places, stay there as long as you want. Some places, I think the median was like 4 hours, which kind of made sense to me. So it's like, okay, you're open, go through your rush, kind of close everything down. Then there's distance constraints from other restaurants, right? Or similar restaurants. So if it's a breakfast place, how far away would you need to be from Jay Goody or from Eve's?
Casbah
right?
Cafe.
Or for Casbah. Are you allowed to just park out front? Well, it's like, well, we serve eggs too. So it's like, okay, well, we need to have conversations with the restaurant owners, right? The core stakeholders that we had discussed previously. So there's geographic limitations, even for a smaller city like ours. Of course, there's public health concerns, there's food safety concerns, there's the role of commissaries. How are we going to integrate the role of commissaries into having food trucks all over the city? There's public safety. How close can it be to a crosswalk? Pedestrian safety, pedestrian traffic. Where's that going to take place? On what streets, right? And then there's vending near schools. Well, define near. What's near? But does that add a layer of danger for who's one of the patrons at the food truck? Are they allowed to be that close to a school? We don't know. I don't think any food truck owner is going to ID anyone, right? Or have a list of people that can and can't come. But I wouldn't want them near schools, right? And it would be a rare occurrence, but it could happen. So it's not that it's a big no for me. It's a, all right, let's try to get there. To Councilmember Gannon's point, I think to Tatiana's point, our city manager's point, the resources are because of Helene and Milton right now, and everything that Deanna discussed earlier today. I know, Rhonda, you've been displaced as well. The other gentleman that spoke about being displaced. That's where all our resources can go, and I think it's completely understandable. But it's not only that. I think if we could flip a switch and say, yeah, it's good, we're allowed to make this decision, I think it'd be a pretty easy yes vote. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I'd vote yeah if it was that easy, right?
Yeah.
So in order to get to the finish line, I think it's best to have a consultant, only because I just started doing all this research and I did not realize how much went on. And so they can help us guide us through all the hurdles we need to jump. And then if it can get done, that we do the process correctly. Because you make a mistake, then, if we start getting all this fines, or, we get put on some list, and then maybe this has to be suspended, and you're not supposed to be here, you're not supposed to be there. So the specific rules, regulations we need to follow, important conversations we need to have, all of that needs to take place well before, I think, an up or down vote can be contemplated by council. So that's just where I'm at. Yes, I want them. I did not realize we had to do all of these things, and each one of those factors that I listed out has a whole subset of other factors that would all have to be considered. So in the 2 weeks' time, or maybe 4 weeks' time, I think the first time you came here was 2 meetings ago, so it's been a month. But even in just that limited amount of time, I didn't realize I was learning a brand new subject. I was like, oh my goodness. So that's where I'm at right now, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Valerie?
All right. Yeah, I'm going to echo a little bit of what Katie and Steve said. And if it was a simple yes or no vote,
I love food trucks.
love food trucks. I want them in Oldsmar. I think that they have something to offer our community, and I think in the right space, they can be great. And I want you guys here, and thank you so much for the help that you gave to our community. I don't want you to think that anything, I want to be careful discussing today because I want to say yes. I want to say yes. But there are, like Vice Mayor said, so many layers. And my head as a new council member is swimming a little with all of the things that need to be looked at. And I want to be careful and strategic about this process before voting, so I understand the entire thing, understand changing the zoning, because this is all a new learning experience for me. And I would love to workshop this. When I saw this on the agenda, I was like, ooh, maybe we can do a workshop, because our workshops have been great recently.
Can I say you're the first one ever to be excited about a workshop?
Oh. I mean, I'm learning all this stuff, and so it's like, I won't know, I won't say it's exciting, but
We
I
call it
like,
the W word. No, just let's stick with consultant. I like that.
not gotten old yet. But, you know, the idea of our planning department putting a presentation together for us on this, I mean, this was significant already, but then to go into all of the zoning, and that's significant. And so kind of echoing what you said, Katie, like the strain on our planning department already. I want people to get back in their homes as soon as possible. I think we need to prioritize a little bit. I don't have any objection to getting a consultant. I would like to see the numbers on how much that would cost first, because we all know, I mean, I wasn't on council when you guys did the budget meeting, but I was in the audience, and I know how fine that line is right now. And then after the storms, I think with all of the storm debris pickup, and we're still waiting on FEMA, and it's like so many layers to this when we're making a decision. So I don't know what the right decision is right now. If we say, give it 6 months and table it and readdress it in the summer, if we give the planning department some time to work through all of their substantial damage assessments, but then there's some sort of timeline for this. I don't want to forget about it, because I do want food trucks. And this was something that was important to me before I came on council. You're not the first food truck that I've talked to. I would love them. I enjoy your food. So, yeah, that's about all I
Right,
have.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I just have a couple comments that I'd like to share. I agree with the entire council. I would love to have you guys in our city. There's no doubt about that. And the reason why I say that is I want to share a little story with you. During the centennial, we had events called the Fifth Fridays. There were actually 4 Fifth Fridays that year in 2016 for our centennial. Well, we had these live concerts outside at the park, and we wanted to feed these people, so we had food trucks. Well, the food trucks were a huge success, and that was like the first time I ever remember that our city actually had food trucks come to our events. And it was a huge success. Well, after the centennial was over, those food trucks all wanted to move into Oldsmar. They loved our city. They had a great success story that they wanted to keep staying here. So unfortunately, it didn't work out back then. I do want to agree with what the vice mayor, said so many things that I don't want to repeat anything he said. But I want to say one thing that he didn't mention. I wish we had a microbrewery. Then we would solve it.
Can I speak?
Absolutely, come on up. No, I would, if you want to speak, I would love for you to speak. Yes, please.
So first, I want to say that I do absolutely understand, and I would never want to step above those that have lost their homes. That is 100% the most important. We can move the truck somewhere else and go about. They need their place to live. The second thing that I want to say is, that's what I'm confused about. Why they're okay for a microbrewery and nothing else. That's the only thing that confuses me. I do want to say thank you to all of you. You've been very courteous. You've been very nice. Thank you for your phone call. Please don't feel bad if the answer is no. But if you could maybe think about a temporary permit while you work through this, that'd be great. But if you cannot, I do, and I appreciate the time that you took out to put that presentation. And I apologize for those of you that have lost your homes that.
That this is the focus.
Yes.
I understand completely. Sorry, I wanted to come up here. And I don't like to point fingers anywhere else. I'm not trying to get anybody else in trouble. So I'm not going to say where, but I know of food trucks that are in Oldsmar. Why is that okay for them? Why are they not getting hassled? I know of one that's at a permanent spot, plugged in, electric, water, and they're not getting hassled.
In incorporated Oldsmar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So why is the law different there?
It should not be.
it's not.
It is
All I
not.
want to do is operate my business and feed you guys, and that's it. But if I can't get a temporary use permit, I'm going to have to move the trailer. I didn't even pay my rent this month. I paid 5 days' worth of rent. I said, let me see what the council says, because if I can't open, I can't stay there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I do want to say thank you to all of you.
Thank you for hanging in there with us. The last thing I wanted to mention is if we want to do a consultant, like what Councilmember Tedeszewski said, we would need to see what that cost.
Well, sure. I mean, we have to go through the procurement process, so that information be provided up front.
Right.
We'd have that information before we could give yes or no. Yeah.
And the other thing that what Felicia brought up is the CRA. The CRA is a very instrumental tool for our city. It has to be in a plan. The CRA board has to actually develop a plan to say, okay, we're going to allow food trucks in our CRA, and then that has to be in the plan before we can actually have food trucks come in our CRA. There's very strict rules on how that works. And then once the board approves the plan, then it's got to go to the county for the plan. So I just wanted to bring that up too. And anybody else want to say anything else?
Andrew
Yes.
hasn't had.
I
Andrew?
haven't had a chance to. That's okay. I waited patiently.
Okay. I thought you did. Sorry.
That's okay. Again, thank you all for coming out and advocating for this. I remember going to Portland in 2016 or 17, and there's food truck corrals all over the place, right? Austin has an absolutely amazing, thriving food scene. It's insane. It's out of this world. And yet food trucks are all over, and restaurants and food trucks can easily coexist. So with my travels outside of the limits of Oldsmar, I feel like we are far behind the curve in being able to get up with the times, right? And have a vibrant community and looking forward to the future, not just with what we're trying to do with rebuilding, but with what type of development will take place in the future with what we just voted on tonight. What says that that neighborhood wants to have a food truck come for a special event, which, okay, maybe they can get away with that right now. But if we have any success over here with the downtown development, I can anticipate, I think that was part of what the pitch was for special events at that development is, well, we want to have a little food truck rally. Best case they might be able to do right now is shut down the street in a special event thing, but if they want to have it on their courtyard, now they probably can't. So there's a lot of components to look at to get to the point where I think it sounds like everybody in this room wants to be. And I think we got to put the first foot forward to get there. Because again, as I said, I think we're far behind the curve. I mean, just alone in Town and Country now, there's like 4 different corrals that have popped up over there. And if I'm passing through Town and Country, you bet I'm probably popping in for some Venezuelan food. I mean, it's a haircut, right? So I think yes, there's cost to weigh out and make that call to decide to move forward, but I think it would behoove us to do so. So I don't want to belabor the point any further, but I think.
Just one more time.
Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I feel for those folks, and I know another vendor that basically flip-flopped on both sides of our city because they couldn't be in the city, and he's been struggling as well. So
That's the
There's
one I
the
was thinking.
desire to be here,
Yeah.
and yet we can't yet accommodate that, and I'd like to change that.
Did you want to say something?
I had the opportunity to ask questions, which kind of indicated sort of my position, but I just wanted to give, a piece of these council comments. I certainly appreciated Vice Mayor's comments. Everybody had great input because, yes, I love food trucks too. I think we all anticipate it being part of Oldsmar, but, it reminds me of when we finally, realized that every city around us had microbreweries and brew pubs. And we were like, why don't we have this in the code? And, so we did something about it. We finally figured out, why are food trucks not allowed? But we have this microbrewery thing and that's a great question. I have no idea, but it's a question worth answering. And I think it's a question we all want the answer to. The irony is, of course, this comes at the crossroads of tragedy and beauty because, now we know you and we'd love to be able to accommodate you. And the answer is yes, but it's a horrible mix of timing. I think, and this is just me, I don't want to burden our staff with a work session or continuing to research this because I want the primary focus to be getting the data from the county on, who needs to receive a substantial damage determination and guiding people through the process of appealing those decisions, guiding people through the process of what to do next. We have traumatized residents right now, obviously. Can barely even look at you, Deanna. And so my thought is, the budget's coming up. This is the time to talk about these things. So this is my thought, let's, put in the budget. I mean, we have money in the CRA budget, maybe we could put a consultant in there to continue this investigation and to move us forward, because I think you're all right. Regardless of when it comes about, this should come about. And I love that the end of the short presentation, by the way, Tatiana, which was very informative. Thank you for doing that in your spare time. Providing those 4 bullet points, which I think are necessary and important for this process. And I think that would be a great way to continue to move it forward despite the absence of the staff commitment right now, but we could still do something to move it forward because it sounds like everybody's in consensus that this needs to happen. And since we have the CRA for 2 more years, at least as of now, it could be a good use of funds. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Would you want to say, come on up?
No, I just want to say.
You have to come up to the microphone.
Okay, as a point of clarity, could you just explain what the CRA is?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the CRA is a
Tatiana, why don't you describe what the CRA is? That's probably.
geographical area in our city. Yes.
So we have a designated area in the city. It's a community redevelopment area. If you know where St. Petersburg Drive is, so the south boundary is St. Petersburg Drive to State Street to Bayview Boulevard, plus or minus. So this is our special kind of like designated district that was, it's basically like a blighted area that was designated years ago, 28 years ago, and we have special, what they call the TIF increment financing for this area where the taxes were kind of like frozen at the level of 1996.
Yeah.
And then anything increment above that is something that goes kind of like in a different bucket, and you can only spend that money for certain projects within the community redevelopment district. So you have to have a plan, and you have to have certain budgeted items that you spend that money on to improve the area, the CRA area, so it's not blight anymore, basically, yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome.
To Rhonda's point and to Tatiana's point, we should be careful if we are using CRA funds to do the study for including the food trucks in a CRA designated area as opposed to elsewhere in the city. Vice Mayor made a good point about, where in the city a location would be good. So that is a budgetary concern as well when we're budgeting for the consultant.
Plus
So
it's public versus
it
private.
might have to come from a different bucket, but yes.
the public land versus the private land and what
Right.
responsibilities the public would have versus private
Right.
landowners, those are all very real concerns before you could proceed. There's a different set of
Right.
liability, well, the liabilities wouldn't necessarily be the same, but who's responsible for those liabilities? Which, again, tip of the iceberg is where we are right now. I don't know, do we need to give any direction to staff to attempt to see what a consultant might cost in order to add it in the budget?
I would think the request would be to determine, you know, where in the budget this could go, whether it's in the CRA or general fund, to hire a consultant to essentially investigate a land use change, a zoning change, perhaps, you know, all the different components. And, you know, do the pilot programs, you know, look at the underserved areas of the city, look for private vacant lots or where it could feasibly be done. But I think
If we're,
that.
yeah, if we're just chipping away though, and tonight we give some sort of direction with no necessarily
Yeah,
timeline for completion, but it's, yes, we want to move forward with a consultant, so we would make a motion to direct staff, or make a motion to direct staff to investigate the cost of a consultant
I don't know
to bring
if
food
that would
trucks,
be.
I mean, to address the regulations.
I don't know if that, is, well, I could.
I'm
ask-
asking, that's what we're
Yeah,
discussing. I
is
mean,
that the
there was
best
no
mechanism,
recommended motion for this.
Or do
so
we
I'm
just
saying-
need consensus to ask the city manager to include it in the budget that's
Before we
coming up?
go there, can we finish comments with the other council member, because council member.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a
no.
quick,
Yeah,
no,
before
you're
we,
fine.
I agree, we're
You're
on
good.
a great way, but Valerie would like to say something.
Yeah, I just had a question, and I don't know if this is something that can be answered tonight, or if it needs further research and who it would actually go to, but Tatiana, during your presentation, you did mention temporary permits. Is, because this area is in the CRA, is this something we even is logistically possible for us to approve a temporary permit in the CRA without going through the steps that the mayor mentioned about the CRA board and discussing, like, is that within our power?
The state
For
preemption.
any. It's not currently within your power to do it because it's preempted by the state.
Yeah, it's the state preemption.
And so we cannot use the regulations on our special, for our temporary use permits as it applies to food trucks at this point, because that's preempted. So
Okay.
no, the city doesn't have the authority to do that.
Okay.
And as for the agenda says tonight, discuss current regulations regarding
We don't
food
have
trucks.
to.
No, of course not. Wait, we can make a motion, but there was no recommended motion. Forgive me, Tom.
So I was just going to suggest to you that normally it would be place something on the agenda for the purposes of approval or consideration. That would be at the next meeting. But it wouldn't necessarily be, because the public is not aware that you're going to consider and approve anything at this point. It's just you're discussing it. That's what the public knows looking at the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have any comments before I go? Yes, but Councilmember Knapp, go ahead.
Just one other thing, because I know kind of, for those that were here advocating, it's, you know, asking for what's the quickest, if any, solution. So I think, if anything, the efforts that we can do individually that I don't think puts us in any jeopardy is try to attract a microbrewery to Oldsmar. We know there's one right across the county line. You know, maybe they want an ancillary site. I don't know. Mobile brewery. But yeah, it's unfortunate that we're kind of in this
Preemption is a thing.
situation. So, but go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else? All right, two things that you brought up, Tampa Bay Brewing Company. I was at their event over the weekend, that fundraiser they had on Saturday. They actually are looking for somewhere in Oldsmar.
There we
Trying.
go.
They're actually looking for
there.
someplace. They did bring it up. I talked to the owner, Dave, so let's pray for that. Last thing I want to mention to everybody that Councilmember Gannon brought up and Vice Mayor. The city staff, okay, yesterday I had my appointment because I've had 3 properties flooded, okay? So I need permits, and I met with the city staff. And I gotta tell you, I got there early because I had some extra time. There are people lined up. They're lined up every 15 minutes. And I waited for my turn to get my stuff taken care of, and that staff is doing an amazing job for our city. I'm very proud of them, but there's a lot of people hurting out there, and I just don't think food trucks right now is our number one priority. It's getting these people back in their homes. And that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to share that with you guys. All right, any other comments before we close that item? All right. Thank you all for hanging in there with us. All right, next item on our agenda is item 12, and that is request to excuse absence of Councilmember Katie Gannon for the November 14th, 2024 council work session. I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion. Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is council comments, and we're going to start with Councilmember Katie Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for approving my absence at that meeting. I appreciate it. A couple of things. Last evening, Councilmember Tartazeski, she went through a huge laundry list of events that are happening. It's also in the Community Minute. I would encourage everybody to visit our social media page. We also have Breakfast with Santa, we have the golf cart and bike parade, we've got holiday storing time, scavenger hunt with the chamber. I mean, there's a lot of events going on, and so I just wanted to encourage people to find out about them, and I wanted to thank city staff for continuing to put them on despite everything else that's going on. And you know, Rhonda brought up the event at Veterans Park this weekend, and it really was fantastic. And I think that these continued events, you know, Winter Wonderland, that's so special to our city. And I know that everybody's taxed, and it feels like a crush because you know, Thanksgiving was a week late this year, so now we only have 3 weeks till Christmas to cram us all in. But I thank city staff for an incredible ceremony last night, lighting the tree, and the community for putting on their own events, the Alliance for putting on our own events to feel that sense of gratitude at this time of year. Just a quick note, I will be going to the mayor's breakfast this Friday. I will be late though, so even if you don't see me at the beginning, I will be late because I can't drop the kids off at school any earlier than 8:15.
I'll save you coffee.
So I will have my money ready for the mayor to pour the coffee, and
Wait a minute, I didn't know we had to pay you for it.
Oh, you don't have to. Let me. Yeah, so the mayor's breakfast is, of course, the fun. It's a fundraising event. Yes, where they auction off decorated trees.
Yeah.
The mayor for the city of Oldsmar and the mayor for the city of Safety Harbor typically, yes, pour coffee in competition with each other for tips to see who raised. It's bragging rights, but of course all the money then goes to charity. So it's a fun and exciting event. It's a lovely gathering to start the season, and it is very special to see everybody that turns out, the beautiful trees that come from the sheriff's office, the chamber, from all the different organizations that participate. It's just beautiful. You know, Deanna came to talk tonight, and I just wanted to commend her for her bravery in talking about what I know a lot of people are experiencing in our city right now, and it's going to keep happening. The information that's, you know, in the letters that everybody's getting, not everybody's getting, that these very specific people are getting, comes from the county. It comes from a massive column A through column triple Z spreadsheet that, Deanna's right, breaks people's lives down into zeros and ones and decimal points. Nobody told me either. She's right, you know, I have flood insurance. I have all the things, you know, you think you have all the things in order in case something happens, but no, I've learned a lot. I've learned a great deal. I think we've all up here learned a great deal about FEMA, about flood insurance, about the layers of government, about what we really don't have power over. With this letter, though, there's a third page. It's the reassessment instructions.
and we're providing this. I know it's hard because these are coming via certified mail, return receipt requested, which I believe costs the city about $10 a letter, but it's important because we have to make sure that you get this information in your hands. And it's awful because it's size, whatever, 11-point font. By the time you get to the end, you just want to burn it. But before you burn it, the reassessment instructions are important. I would encourage everyone to request a reevaluation of anything. I don't even know all of the things. That's how much there is to know. A reevaluation of the value of your home, a reevaluation of the individual costs, the reevaluation of the look-back period. I don't know all of the things, and you know what's insane is that it's different for everybody. It's different for everybody because nobody has the same home, of course. Nobody has the same mix of insurance, flood insurance, homeowners insurance. Nobody has the same mix of, I had a mortgage, I didn't have a mortgage, I had flood insurance, I had content insurance, I had, you know, it's absolutely overwhelming to even put your arms around how it's affecting one homeowner, let alone hundreds. And on top of that, of course, you know, we have our city staff that is doing that, you know, home by home by home. It takes a long time. And there is, you know, no other source of information than the information that is doled out each week by week, you know, this trickle flow from the county. And of course, their information is coming from this army of assessors. I don't know all the details. Please don't quote me on any of this. I just have a basic understanding from what I've learned. I have just the deepest of sympathy, which I know is probably not worth much. But I would encourage anyone who is receiving these kinds of letters to examine every reassessment or appeal process that they can, and to come to every appointment and to take advantage of every resource that has been made available. I can't imagine how frustrating this is, especially at this time of year. If you need support, please reach out to the Alliance, reach out to somebody at the church, somebody at Oldsmar Cares. Kristen Garcia, our city clerk, has just tons of information about counseling, replacement of physical goods, you know, and of course there's individuals within our city who are doing, you know, projects, and I just, it really hits you when you hear it from individual homeowners. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll leave it at that for tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Katie Gannon. Vice Mayor Steve Graber.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. Great job by Kristen and Jenny and the whole staff for Citizens Academy. I will never stop being a proponent of Citizens Academy, and I believe it's still the case. You don't have to be an Oldsmar resident. If you work here and you find out about it, you can still sign up and do it. So it's really cool. I loved it. My wife's gone through it. Every single person sitting up here is gone. So to the graduates, congratulations. I didn't have to deal with 2 hurricanes while I was going to Citizens Academy. So being able to just persevere and get through, that's great. So awesome. Celebrate Oldsmar. Weather cooperated. It was fun. I will say one thing. I know we've gotten out of the habit of working together. One of the days, all 5 of us, it was me and my wife and a volunteer from the city of Clearwater. So if we could maybe moving forward, figure something out. Get back together. I know, Andrew, you were out of town. Katie, you were out of town. Val, I know you were there with your son. We had to get a babysitter so Kelly and I could volunteer, but we showed up and it was just the 3 of us. So I was just like, where is every?
Got to get the band back together.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, but just like keep it in mind. I know we probably don't have another event until March. And then, you know, we had to miss Oktoberfest this year, so generally we do that with the chamber too. But just something to keep in mind. It was still fun, don't get me wrong. I got to see everybody. I saw Val there, saw the mayor there. We went up on stage and, you know, did our introductions and that sort of thing. But I missed it. It was just one of those, like, you know, all my buddies moved away. Like, just come on back. So the Christmas tree lighting, one thing I just wanted to say, it was a wonderful event. Everybody had a really good time. My kids were in a great mood. Like, everybody was just having fun. Like, you could tell it was the kickoff, and it was December 2nd, so it was just like we got the whole month to enjoy it. I will give one shout out to Mrs. Bates, Kate Bates, who is the music teacher for my children at Forest Lakes Elementary School. And just the job that she did directing those kids in the choir, and as soon as she said, attention, and they all turned around because they all, when the snow came down, and they're all like, and then they were almost like getting aggravated. They had to sing another song, but she's like, let's go. And they all turned around and like just started belting it out. And I was so happy and so proud and so like happy that my kids go there and get to be taught by her. Of course, I'm biased, but they did a fantastic job. So, but that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay, thank you. Great job. Councilmember Valerie Tedeszewski.
Nailed it.
Yes. Took some practice, but we got it. So, a couple things. I will also be at the mayor's breakfast. I will bring my dollar bills.
All right.
Stop by, get some cash out. I stopped by Oldsmar Cares today and I dropped off toys because they are still collecting toys for people who are needy around this time of year. And I believe that they are including hurricane victims. So I think that Friday is the last day if you are needing assistance with toys to stop by Oldsmar Cares and sign up for that assistance. So please go stop by if you're one of those people that are affected. But if you're looking for a way to make a difference and you enjoy holiday shopping, then you can donate some toys too. I know that they will appreciate it, and I think we're gonna have more families this year than probably previous years. So, touching on hurricane damage, Deanna, who came up and spoke, I'm not gonna get too far into it because I will cry.
Yeah.
I will say that I did hear some feedback this week from somebody who's gone through the permitting process. They did get their letter back and they were not substantially damaged, but they still had to go through the permitting system, had an appointment with the planning office here in Oldsmar, and then were actually able, after nagging and nagging and nagging, to get an appointment with the county to get their permitting. And they could not talk enough about how great our planning department was and putting together and helping them with the paperwork, and gave them entire packet. And when they got to the county office in Pinellas County, the worker there said that they were incredibly impressed by Oldsmar's planning department and the packet that they had put together and helped people with, because it was easy to approve. And it made it so easy for people who are experiencing the worst times in their life, and that it was above and beyond what other municipalities are doing. So thank you for all of your hard work, for Tatiana, Mandy. It's not going unnoticed, and so thank you so much for the extra effort that you guys are putting in for our residents. That's all I got.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate it very much. Councilmember Andrew Knapp.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of things. I'll also be, not sure yet if I'll be late or not for breakfast on Friday, because I am in the same quandary of school drop-off.
I could pick up your kids, and then you could be on time, but then I'll be later.
I have to do 2 drop-offs.
Oh, that's right.
One's not in school yet.
That's right,
But,
that's right.
So yeah, I got to figure that out, but hopefully I can, and if not, I'll be late and be there. I just wanted to give my nephew an early birthday shout out. He's 1 year from being a full-fledged adult as of Thursday, so good luck to him and his final year as being considered a minor. But then I just also wanted to touch on the folks that spoke tonight. Deanna, thank you for having the courage to share your reality with everybody here, because if people don't hear that, then it just kind of gets forgotten about, and that shouldn't happen. And I encourage you to keep asking the questions that you're asking, because there are a lot of ones that need to be asked, and ones that we have too. I mean, when I had my meeting with the city manager earlier, we were just looking at the valuations of properties on Country Club through the property appraisers' websites, and there are wide ranges of houses built in the same year, and how you can say, well, one versus the other, when there's minimal differences in square footage. Those questions need to be answered, and those are ones that need to be directed at the county and ones that we can kind of help facilitate to getting to the right people. I have the full faith and confidence of our staff, starting with Felicia down through Tatiana and everyone else, that if they don't have the answers, they're gonna find them for you or put you in touch with the right person. So I hope before you leave tonight, you can have some better guidance of where to go next, because I don't think for anyone their journey's over in being able to stay in Oldsmar. So again, thank you for saying what you said and letting people hear the struggles that are still going on and not ending anytime soon. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Andrew. All right, a couple things for me. First of all, back to what you said, Valerie, thank you for that information. I didn't want to move ahead, but thank you for that information, because that's a step I'm at. I got the packets from the staff, and now I'm moving forward, making my appointments when I get free. So thank you for giving me that positive story so I can move forward. Last night's tree light event I think was one of our best ones ever, seriously. I don't know why, when the tree lit up, the snow was perfect. I mean, it was perfect timing. The kids all went crazy. It was just a really, a good event. And my favorite part about the whole night was how we all worked together and made that event special for the citizens of Oldsmar. That was the first thing I want to share. Vice Mayor, the chamber event for Celebrate Oldsmar, I don't think we could ask for a better weekend. The weather
was great.
absolutely
Yeah.
perfect. It was great. The only thing that was missing was the fireworks, but the bands were all very good. I was at the car show when you were working in the beer tent.
Yeah,
I
for
was
sure.
over there working over there, judging cars and stuff like that. But that was a great event. Valerie, you were there most of the weekend on stage. You got out to go on stage. Sorry you guys were on vacation, but I understand you gotta go on vacation. Yesterday, I attended the new board meet and greet orientation for Forward Pinellas, and they brought up Andrew. They wanted to thank you for your service on the board, and you got a little gift this evening that I brought for you. I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to that. I'll be the representative for PSTA. Gina Driscoll is now the chairman. She's councilwoman from St. Petersburg. She will be the chair of Forward Pinellas, and I am taking her seat on the Forward Pinellas board for PSTA. And then the other thing is tomorrow, I have a board meeting with PSTA in the morning, and then I'm leaving to go to Orlando for the FLC Legislative Conference. And I'm also going to be attending the Florida League of Mayors, tomorrow, the Florida League of Mayors, and then Thursday, the Florida League of Cities. I wanted to share that with you guys. I will give you guys an update when I get back. And then, of course, Friday is the Mayor's Breakfast, and that is at the old Woodlands Country Club, which is now called Adea Country Club. And I wanted to bring up something that you brought up, that Katie brought up, Councilmember Gannon. I won last year, and it was at Safety Harbor Spa. I collected more money in tips. You know why? Because I'm a better server than him. I have experience. So that's the kind of competition that we do. Two personal things. Today's my grandson's birthday. He's 13.
Wow.
For Thanksgiving, when we saw him, I went up to say, Xander, you ready to be 13? And when he talked, his voice totally changed. So I never had a son before, so it was kind of exciting to see that. And then the other news I got on Thanksgiving Day is my granddaughter got engaged. I know. His name is Dan. His middle name is John. So we have Dan coming in, another Dan coming into the family. So I don't know what any dates are for the wedding, but I'm kind of excited about that, and I wanted to share that. All right.
Cool.
Yep. All right. Now, item 14, consider approval of tentative agenda for the December 17th, 2024 council meeting. Does anybody wish to pull or add anything to the agenda? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Do we want to add?
Whoa.
Okay, whoa.
I just need like,
Where do we go from here?
I need like 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Formulate your motion.
Well, it would be to authorize the city manager to, I don't know if it would be a request for proposal or, no, yeah, a request for proposal to provide consulting services and investigating food truck. I need help.
Authorize city
Do you
manager.
see where I'm going? You tracking me?
Authorize city manager to initiate procurement process for consultant regarding food trucks.
Which one did you like better?
It would not be
Wouldn't be procurement.
creating the procurement process.
It would be an RF,
Initiating, I said.
no.
I said initiating, I didn't say create.
The word procurement is a no.
Oh, okay.
If the way I understand it is that you're requesting really to have a scope of work formulated that may have, to work with a consultant to come up with a scope of work to present at a later date.
That's what I need.
Something like that, Tom?
Yeah, that's
What
what
are
I
we
need.
authorizing then, Tom? I guess
So
that's where,
it-
because during the discussion, the word I just used was brought up, so that's why I used it again, so.
Yeah, well, obviously, there's going to be several different things that we're going to have to look at. And so at this point, I'm not really sure the direct approach. So why don't we just put it on the agenda for consider approving city manager.
Hire a consultant.
Well, you're going to want to look at the dollar amounts, so.
We got to figure out the scope of what we want the consultant to do.
Right. Well, so if you just put it on there, authorize the city manager to create a scope of services to be provided to consultant for procurement services.
I move that. And to approve the tentative
What
agenda.
procurement was used, I'm just saying. Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
All right,
Second your motion.
And to approve the tentative agenda.
I second her
okay.
motion that I'm
We
not
have
going to repeat.
motion and a second. All right, any other discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. Meeting adjourned.